tuning into the truth frequency.
Your protection from deception. This is Truth Frequency Radio.
When you finally boil it all down, magic is imagination. We are moving into an age of manifestation. Things become actually less material, more ethereal. The golden dawn is when we awaken to this new station of life. What you think becomes real quicker. Regain our imagination, regain our inner child, and let that inner child out.
My name is Frank Castle, founding member of the music group Heist Click and New York City Neo Shaman. After a serious injury sidelined my career in 2013, I decided to set out on an adventure to search for myself with the help of the plant medicine ayahuasca. What I discovered waiting for me was something I could have never prepared for. It was time for me to become something more, someone more. It was time I became fearless. Shine as my heart beats a rhythm with space and time. When the light starts to shine inside your third eye, you awake to the knowledge that you never die. Microdose, day 14. The strain is Golden Teacher. It's Monday, February 19th, 2018. Well, it's my last day of microdosing for now. At least I think so. I grab some coffee and I eat 0.44 grams. And I'm a little cranky. I lost a few friends in a few days. Weird thing. It's all between my brothers and Paula's birthdays. And I'm going to have to snap out of this. We are all connected. Our team is more powerful than ever. William Whitecrow, like Obi-Wan, has become one with the Force. He comes on quickly, and I begin to really see. My awareness is expanding again. New connections are coming back online. New expressions. I can see the grid. It's all around us. I begin to type up my report from yesterday because I was a little behind. Little Sherman, the cat's been laying behind me on the window the entire morning. That's a first. Then I can see it. Everything is changing. I start to write up my notes and something enters the room. It runs through me and shocks my right hand. The lights go on my mixer and my hardware. I jump up. I close my eyes and I scan the room. Where are you? It takes me about 5 seconds to focus on it. It looks like a really small UFO. It's a disc shape. It knows I can see it, and it starts darting around the room. I can feel it scanning me. I let it know I'm going to scan you right back. I get a feeling of good, though, this time. Nothing's wrong. Nothing's bad. No crappy intent. Welcome. I feel that this is a probe. Nothing organic, but it's transmitting data to somewhere. I focus into that line of data that's streaming. I can see where it's going. It looks like my buddies are watching. And I think it's good to have friends in different spots. And I laugh. As I'm writing, it's becoming more intense. The music is awesome, and it seems to be fueling my experience. So I just sit down and do some writing, and I'll just breathe. I keep telling myself, this is so intense. I'm living in it. Instead of tripping on it, I'm becoming more, and I'm expanding more. I'm beginning to really have trouble connecting to social media. In small bursts, it's okay, but any more than seeing my fearless family in some news, I become very irritated. I feel my body molding itself. I prepare to meditate with awesome tunes for hours over most things. Taking the time to upgrade is very important. Learn, grow, relax, love. You must learn to take this in time because sadly it will never be given. The world owes you nothing, but you are everything. We must learn to see this in ourselves. I can see the flesh mechanics that make up my cats. And I think to myself, wow, that is awesome. I finally get into the shower. I can see that the gods of old knew of the N.P.Cs, the non-playable characters. They understood what was happening and made the N.P.Cs go to work. How they kept them from multiplying and spreading like locusts. I can see how, after the gods left, man corrupted what was once a very well-oiled machine of thought. Man made slaves of not just NPCs, but of fellow man. Time after time, the corruption follows the teaching. Once the teacher leaves the classroom, it's not just man, though. It's another being. No, a few other beings that dress like man, but is not man. They are not even human, steering humankind into the direction of being tricked and dominated. It is a sneak attack. I can see them. I have seen them everywhere my entire life. It is all real, not just one person's story, but everyone's. The last thing the mushroom wanted me to see is a wave of energy. It's moving toward us from the galactic central sun. We will be bathed in the energy wave. It will scare many of us, even the best of us. Those of us that are preparing will be a little better in terms of sanity than most. People will have no clue of what is happening. Fearless family, if this occurs, you stay calm and go indoors. Help yourself and any close to you. Do not try to travel or go to find anyone. Submit to the experience and level up. Relax. Do not freak out. Try to connect. Breathe it in. Become the change. Then when you are ready, get up and help who you must. This is the energy of transformation. Transform fearlessly. You will be returning to your true self. Do this with love and do not panic. Meditate through it. You will all be awesome. All of us will be. We will be fine because this is what we do, and this is what we came here to do. We are the warriors. We are the teachers. And we are the change. On a side note, I'm super proud of myself for going through 14 days straight, headfirst into these experiences. Through 2 weeks of everything from birthdays to death and everything in between. I love everyone for sticking by me during these times. I am grateful for you all, and I'm glad you are all there. I am thankful for such experiences. We will do this next step together. So practice what you need and prepare best you can. Throw love at everything. It's free. It will speed up the process and make things a lot less uncomfortable. Take the steps you need to in life to manifest your success. Love yourself and be grateful. Love others unconditionally. No conditions on your love. Become the observer, become you, and become fearless. What is up, everyone? It's Saturday night. My name is Frank Castle, your Sorcerer Supreme, right here every Saturday night on TruthFrequencyRadio.com, and this is Fearless. And before I go any further, I want to give a shout out to Chris and Sheree. Without you guys, you beautiful, beautiful people, you beings of light that I love so much, things just would be so much different. Shout out to everybody in the chat room. I'm taking my time and relaxing my way through this evening's show. I want to discuss a couple of things about microdosing and the crazy experiences that, like, I go back, I read these constantly, right before the show. I'll do a quick reread. I had to fix all my typos, which I still find them all the time. It sounds ridiculous. Yeah, sometimes I write the way I speak as if I'm hanging out on the street sometimes. So I have to go back and make adjustments. The story needs to come out, but the story is becoming... I remember a life where it wasn't like this. I mean, nothing like this. And I'm not saying that this is... it is better than that. It actually is. But it's the hard path. Everyone thinks, oh, well, it's love and light, so it's going to be, there'll be a lot of love on it and light. And honestly, nothing's further from the truth. You have to become that which you see inside your heart. The character, when you were like 5 and 6 and 7, you were like, that's me, man. Right? So this part of my life reminds me of that part. 7-year-old me swears to himself this day that lightsabers are real. And that I had one as a 7-year-old, and that the boogeyman couldn't exist in my room because I was light side of the Force. So it just didn't matter. But no, it never stopped. It came every day and in new forms. But yet as a 7-year-old, I'd run, I'd hide, and then I'd have to come out of hiding. I'm no more hiding, man. I'm not hiding from this thing. What is this thing? I don't even know what that is. Do you know what that is? I don't know what that is. Do I want to know what that is? I don't know. But I'm going to tell you this. I don't like hiding from it. I don't like being afraid of it. And then I lost my fear and became fearless. Little 7-year-old fearless kid. I took that fearlessness from my house, from the room that was the castle, Grayskull, that I commanded with my magical abilities and my lightsaber and all my fantasy and everything. I took that out into the street to be that in the world, which would be the change. And when you do that here in the Bronx, you learn an early lesson, and an interesting one, that although the Force does exist, and it is out there, in this density, it doesn't mean shit when you're getting punched in your face. So there was a new boogeyman, and they were called bullies. So the fantasy had to take a back seat, right? Luke Skywalker would understand. Somebody's got to understand. And my father's like, well, this is actually what it's like, and you need to learn to forget that and stand up to this. So I was like, wow, you're serious, right? I have to literally forget everything that's awesome because the world's not awesome. Well, people in the world aren't awesome. Not everyone. You can't be so trusting and so caring, and you have to do things for yourself. You have to protect yourself. You have to do certain things, though, in this world that you won't like to do, but you'll be forced to do them. So you as a man are going to have to, or as a young man, are going to have to stand up to these things. And I'm like, I'm 7. But okay, let's try it. By 9, I was getting hardened because when I literally tried everything. I even tried to talk to them, to the bullies, right? Come on, man. We just live right here. Like you can see I'm not afraid. I'm literally saying, you punched me 100 times in the face, but I have to come out of my house. I have to go to school. There's things I have to do. So as a man, give me a break. I'm going to have to handle my business. And I try to force push everyone and send love. Like you don't need to see my identification. Like, come on, we could all just get along. And that didn't work either. By 11 and 12, I threw the beating on the bully that took all these years to do, because I finally was getting big enough. By 15, 16, I've already thrown every beating on a bully in my neighborhood that dared even look in my direction. This is why I laugh at phony gangsters today. And it's not about the fighting like that, but there was no more fantasy. Literally, the fantasy was in the movies. But wait, I did have a backup. I read a lot of comic books. These comics were important to me. They were like the Bible, because naturally I had been through St. Clair's, and they beat me over the head with the Bible. And I said, okay, this isn't definitely going to work for me. I'm in high school now. There's football. All the people that said girls will never look at you and never talk to you because you're fat and you're this and you're that and you're just, I call it original. They would just say you're a freak or a weirdo. And I didn't do anything freaky. I played football. I hung out. It's just I liked comics, and I liked the fantasy and stuff. But there was limited amount of that could be had. So I had to become this other character. This like hardened guy that went to school and got into football and became that guy. Like, I was the dude on the football field that you're like, all right, I'm better than Frank, definitely, but I don't want to play if he's here. Because I'm going to throw it on you. I'm not even here to play the game. I'm here to throw it on you. That's it. Right? And then I'm going to go in the shower. We're going to all hide from the coach who stares at us, because this is how it is in this world. If you go to a prep school, from the Bronx especially, and you call out something like that, you get in a lot of trouble. So we all just huddled together in the showers to make sure the old coach wasn't looking. And then I'd come out, I put my jersey on, and it was time to talk to girls because they were all talking to me. So there was really no time for now the superheroes and this and that. It was the Bronx time. All right, we're playing football. There's bullies to beat up. There's things to do and parks to hang out at. Completely void of anything except the movies. Hey, when's Star Wars coming out again? Well, who knows if they're going to make the next 3. Right? That's how far I go back. Right? So I was in that in-between period. There was nothing there. The magic started weaning when it got closer to college, and I broke my legs in a car accident and couldn't play lacrosse. I busted both of my knees. I didn't break my legs. But the damage in my knees kept me out for 1 year. And then they wanted to red flag me. So now I went from a potent place in being this crazy football athletic guy into a position where everyone's bigger than me, and now I'm injured, and I had to take a year off. I can't afford to do this. I can't afford school. What am I going to do? Oh, then the world starts to suck. Then everything in the world's out to get you. It's against me, blah, blah, blah. Then the really goes bad. I know. It really goes down the drain when I started hanging out now in the parks. I was an auxiliary police officer. For some strange reason, I wanted to be a cop. But I'm not. I don't know if this is a good idea. And in the same year, I saw a carjacking, because they don't care that I'm an auxiliary police officer. I'm a young guy, just with nothing but a radio in my hand, right? Like a dummy, like a clown. This guy pulls another guy out of the car, out of his cab, and shoots him in the stomach. Drives off. Right, literally across the street. And when I mean across the street, I could just flip a baseball underhand to you like a boy. That's how close these things are. When I say across the street. And I go to help him, and he soiled himself. He was injured. And I pulled him back to see where he got hit, and I got sprayed. And from that moment, I had PTSD. I was covered in blood and couldn't get help for this guy fast enough. Later that night, I quit. After that guy, I don't know whatever happened to him. He was shot in the stomach. Whatever happens to people that get shot in the stomach, I wanted nothing to do with that. From there, it became PTSD in the park. Everyone started fighting. Nobody wanted to smoke pot and hang out anymore and meet girls. They wanted to fight you because what are you looking at? And they're drinking heavily and things start going bad. Now, mind you, there is now no spirituality in me. Nothing. And I'm like, oh, this is going to get bad for someone. And it goes down multiple times over the same summer. And my story over there ends when it happens to me. I start getting jumped by giant men that are way older than me, that have these vicious problems and attitudes with people just because you're standing like 5 feet out in front of your place. And you're like smoking a cigarette, like, hey, what's up, everyone? Oh, that guy's definitely needs to get it. And you're like, what? I watched that go on for months and couldn't take it no more. I couldn't be around it. And then it just happened to me. I broke my jaw. Well, I didn't break it. My jaw was broke. My palate was broke. My shoulder was bitten off. I was stabbed with a butcher knife in my chest, and my knee was once again kicked backwards. I had a whole bunch of other contusions. I walked my ass to the hospital. People were like, whoa. I'm like, well, I don't give up easily. And these kids can't fight unless there's 5 of them. But now things are different. They don't want to fight you. They want to kill you. So I'm moving to Florida. I'm getting out of here. I go down to Florida. I work a few interesting gigs. I was around Aerosmith for a little bit. A lot of you seen him on Joe Rogan. He kind of clarified a few things. I've been telling people for years that they said they weren't on drugs down there. That was their big, I'm getting clean. He said it right on the show. We weren't getting clean. Everyone gets paid in cocaine and cigarettes. You can't bullshit the biggest bullshitter, right? Anyway, so there's a point to this whole story. I'm walking you straight up through this. I'm with the wrong person. I'm hanging with the wrong people now. Except it's starting to get a little spectacular. The girl I'm dating, 6 foot, she becomes a dancer. Except she's a mother. And I have this weird thing like, why would you already have a job and you're doing good. Why are you going to fall into that trap? But I worked for these guys over here. So everyone's like, bro, that's the greatest thing. We're in Fort Lauderdale. This is how it's supposed to go down. Surrounded myself with the wrong crowd. Wound up. You guys know the story, how I came home. There was a guy in my house. It turns out the guy was hanging out with the girl I was dating on the side. So I was already leaving. I made a choice to leave Florida, leave this girl, leave the dirt, leave the grime, because I wasn't really, I was becoming part of it. I wasn't it, though. I wasn't like bringing that to the table. I was just getting fat, right? And then I was like, I can't believe I'm getting chubby. You know, like my world is changing again. I went through this weird stage. I came home and this dude threatened me in my house and we had a fight. It didn't end well. And I ran after the fight was over and the police came. So I ran from the cops because they pulled guns on me. It was crazy, crazy night. I tried to explain everything there. Nobody wanted to hear nothing. Everybody wanted to just beat on me. And I had just come home and took a beating by some steroided junk ball that's been hanging out with all the people I said I loved. I was furthest from source. Right about 3, 2, 1. I had nothing left. I was in my friend's backyard, my one friend in Miami. We built a pond and a waterfall thing in his backyard, and there was a giant hollowed out piece in behind it. So I went and I stayed in there for a day. It's just so the filters could run. Interesting time that was, sitting in there contemplating as the cops came in and were like, dude, we know he's here. Where is he? And I'm like, I heard him say, he's not here, bro. Go look around. There was no way to find me. You would have never found me. It was closed off. And I'm going, I don't believe it's come to this. I didn't even do anything wrong. And there's that world again, treating me like dirt and like crap. So I turned myself in. My father punched me in the face. My uncle punched me in the face because they wanted me to look more beat up than the guy that beat me up. And they turned me in. I go in with a lawyer and my father, and then the lawyer turns around, just walks out pretty quickly, and the cops start beating me right in front of my dad, who tries to jump in, and they're like, yo, we'll kill you. Do that, you're coming in here with him. I was like, yo, don't do that. You're an old man, whatever. Okay. I spend 3 days in hard lockup with some of the weirdest creatures I've ever seen. I was furthest from any ritual, any ayahuasca, DMT, psychedelic, anything you can imagine. But I wasn't going to let this, what was happening to me, make me bad. I was going to get out of this, and I was going to become good. I was going to become rock and roll. I mean, Steven Tyler looked at me, though he was definitely inebriated, and he's like, you belong on this side with us, not there with them. All right. The story's going to change back. We're going to catch all there's a reason why I'm showing you guys this little journey, this little path. I'm here, and I'm your protection from deception. I'm going to sum it up when we come right.
No hate, no hype, no fear.
You're listening to Truth Frequency Radio.
We are TFR.
Am I awake or is this a dream? A fantasy where I'd rather be. So come and talk with me. Come and walk with me. Is this a wake-up call from my reality? Have you seen my friends? Have you seen my girl? Wake me up from this. I'm trapped in this world.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. Thanks so much for sticking with me through this story. For those of you that already know, I love you guys. For those of you that don't, will understand more. But I wanted to say this. I released almost my entire catalog to SoundCloud under HeistClick, HeistClick. For anyone that can't get it on YouTube, it's not playing in certain people's countries and stuff. Everybody's asking me about the music. I'm like, you can't get it? I didn't even understand that. Especially the fact that I have distribution and all kinds of crazy things. I felt this. I should get it out now. I don't know what made me do it, but I listened to all the stuff and I said, you know what? It's time to go live with everything. I put the shows up on YouTube quarterly, so we're always like 35, 36 shows ahead here before anything goes to YouTube. So you guys don't worry about that. Make sure you get a subscription. You get all the other great hosts. Shout out to Ra. Stick around. We got I guess it's a rerun tonight on Beyond the Veil, but stick around because it's probably awesome. And then after that, we got Paranormal Portal, and we got Into the Microcosm with Jimmy Jean later on tonight. Shout outs to all the great hosts here and all the people running the show. Shout outs to Lucky. Everybody in the chat room, my Fearless family, I love you guys so much. So really quick back. Oh, and we're going to be still on the Egypt helping Chris and Sheree trip for another month. So wearefearless.com, which is going to be there the whole time. So for the next month, anything that's purchased in that section, the Egypt 2018 trip, was all of it's getting donated to Chris and Sheree. So they'll get back. They'll be hanging out like a month. They're going to get another intense little thing. And you guys are making this happen. Without you guys, none of this would be possible, but we are a family, and this is what it's come. We're changing. The whole thing is changing, and that's what this story is about, is changing. So, all right, I come home after spending four days in jail, right? And I say to them, I'm like, I'm never going to go back to jail again. And they were like, yo, your court date's in 1 year. I'm like, what do you mean? I just spent a couple days in jail. Like, that's it. They're like, you have felony battery too, son. You're coming back here. We'll see you in 1 year. That's when your court date is. Oh, my. I come back to New York. I get a job on a movie set. Go figure. I joined a rap group. I hated rap. I find myself in front of LL Cool J, my first time on stage, and members of Run DMC, some who are no longer with us, Mobb Deep. I mean, they were all in the room. Atlantic Records. I was completely back into fantasy world again. I think this is going to change. I think everything's going to change. Working the movie sets, those of you that know some of the weirdo stories from back in the day, and I'm not going to tell them, I'm just going to say saving Courtney Love from PETA and getting my ass kicked for doing it, and then her protecting me from Ben Affleck, who tried to beat me up after everyone just beat me up. And I said, you guys are funny the way this works. And then his brother protecting me, and then me and his brother hanging out for like 3 or 4 months. And he was very much younger than me, and just smoking pot, hanging out, telling stories of cool stuff. And within that time, my character, Frank Castle, emerged. Like this is like 97. So I go through this intense year. I meet Dave Chappelle as he's blowing up. I'm working on the movie set for 200 cigarettes. I work directly with the director as the assistant. Like I'm not directing in any way. I'm like an assistant to you to get anything that you need on set. I was like a huge gopher, but also I was security because of my background. So they loved swinging me around to do all kinds of crazy stuff. And in that time, I was amazed. I met Chappelle, and he was so nervous. He was so nervous. He goes, they keep calling me Eddie Murphy. I don't want to be Eddie Murphy. I said, don't be Eddie Murphy. Be Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle is the awesome dude. I said, you're such a nice guy. Just don't even sweat it. He was like, yo, man, whatever. Never saw him again after that. You know why? Because I got fired. Because I got called back to Florida. Went to jail for 4 months. They said, you're going to spend 4 months with us. I was a fat, overweight, probably loudmouth then. But this is where the story gets interesting. I'm 100% clean. 3 months in. I go down to 168 pounds from like 238. And I look like Rambo. Just like him. Right? All ripped and everything, but I am to myself. I work as a chef. They're teaching me how to make peanut butter and just weird stuff. And then accidentally they stick me on the 7th floor. Right? 7th floor was the murderers and rapists. Why? I was the only person in there that didn't belong in there, and that was white. It was one of the most awkward moments when the entire place threatened me, and I couldn't come out of my room. So I'm writing my best friend, who's in the music group at the time. He was the producer, and I don't like being afraid. And I'm like, yo, man, I'm scared. Like, this is bad. There's like 40 dudes in here screaming at me that I'm dead tonight. So I locked my door. Like, they like pop it open for you and let you come out and have like roam time for a little bit. And dudes were just coming to the door like, you're dead. You're dead. You're dead. They didn't even say anything like, oh, we're going to have sex with you. They were like, we're going to kill you. So I was like, all right, well, I walked up to my door and closed it, and it locked. And I said, well, now nobody's getting in. Okay. I sat at my wall and faced forward, and I started rocking back and forth like a freakazoid, and I came out of my body. I came right out. I went right through the wall. I was wide awake. I looked back, freaked out, pulled back in, and I was like, wait, what? You can do that? I heard about this. So the fear from being beat up and killed is gone. Suddenly, I don't know what happened, and it's focused at doing this. So I go, do it again. Boom, come through the wall, and I go through it slowly, and I could see every single thing as I go through the wall, all the layers. I was like, this is amazing. Then I go fly off, and I do a whole bunch of things as I start getting used to this. And I go, there's got to be something to this. Now I'm home. I'm back in the Bronx. It's Mother's Day that same year. I just got home. I missed every major holiday, right? Mother's Day is the next day. I come into my house. I'm with my little brother, and there's a man standing in my living room as I come upstairs from the basement. All the lights are on, and this guy's looking at where my grandmother sits. He's just like bent over, like looking. And I'm like, yo, this dude's wearing a coat. He's got like a hat on. Like, what is this? This is this guy from like the 1940s? I run up to him to go tackle him, and he turns and looks at me. He don't have legs like below the knee, and he's wearing a coat. It looks like my grandfather. He floats right over to me, stares me in the face, and I go, Grandpa, and I faint, fall back. I was frozen in fear on the floor. And then he went into the being goes into the other room, does the same thing to my brother, lights on in the kitchen. My brother's like, oh, I thought that was you. Help me. Now he's 14. His hair turns white on the sides. So I'm like, there's definitely more out there. Then I go work for the government. I get a great job. The whole time I'm doing the heist click stuff in between. It's not really a big deal. We're just fast forwarding now 13 years as a USDA federal inspector for the fresh fruit and vegetable division. So I'm a blueberry inspector and a strawberry inspector and a pineapple inspector. That's why I use all those things. For 13 years, I become the top inspector for 7 years. And they're like, dude, you're going to be the boss. I'm like, man, I can't even believe I'm here. Heist Click's awesome. Now, by then, I had did one interview with Chris Geo, and it was on 911 as an inside job. I have a song called Watchtower. That's the song that kicked us off. We were kicked off before the kickoff was ever kicked off. All right? So we fast forward, and my whole world changes. One day I slip and fall and bust my neck and my back. And the job decides to reject me and tell me, yeah, you don't work here no more. Peace. And I'm like, wait, what? Then the doctors tell me, yeah, by the time you're 50, you're not going to be able to walk again. And I'm like, what? They're like, your spine, dude. You bashed your spine in. And I'm like, oh, no. What am I going to do? Then workman's comp stops paying. And I go from being a pill head for 2 months to not being able to have any pills. And then it kicks in again. Then it goes out again. Then it kicks in again. Then it goes out again. Then I have to have shoulder surgery because I destroyed my rotator cuff. But it takes 3 years to get that accomplished, right? So I'm like, well, I'm not going to have that for a while. So Chris Geo sees that I'm performing in Denver and decides to hit me up. And this is where it changes again. Just when I thought I was at the top of my game, now I'm at the bottom. I've lost everything again. Wu-Tang gives me a ring. The 2014 Indie Boom Tour. It was Wu-Tang Killer Bees. Okay, there were some members of the Tang there, but it was mostly the Killer Bee guys that were there. There was like one Wu member in a different town when we showed up. They do like a verse on stage and kind of peace out on everybody. So they're like, come and do it. And I'm like, bro, I can't. Like, I busted my neck and back. I don't think I'll be able to do anything anymore. And my partner's like from Canada. He's like, come on, let's do it. And Chris is like, dude, come to my house. This place is down the block from me. Half a mile. I'll drive you there. Come 5 days early. Come stay with me. He goes, you ever hear of ayahuasca? And I'm like, yeah, I heard of it. Joe Rogan talked about DMT and ayahuasca, but I heard ayahuasca can heal you. I watched, in parts of my career, I was an MMA interviewer for combatbroadcasting.com for like a good 2 years. There was a lot of interviews where I was doing with some of these guys. And some of them told me about their ayahuasca experience, and then they quit MMA. They're like, I don't want to fight no more. And I couldn't believe it. But I also saw healings because these men were PTSD'd as well. It's weird when you have your ayahuasca experience, you realize that all the fighting as a kid and all the bullies and all that from day one, the first one, the boogeyman one, where you're under the bed and had to pull the light sword for the first time and stand up to it. You had PTSD from that. You had PTSD from hearing your dad yell or someone get loud or I don't know, a car crank over the wrong way and it blows the horn, and it freaks you out as a kid. There's PTSD in that. I've seen it. I've seen it in myself. Chris brought me there and he says, you're going to just follow the direction. And this is why I am the way I am today with everything. I'm like him. I get extreme. I get extreme because I see the distractions and the imbalances. But in that is the imbalance within myself. So he puts me under every which way you can think of. And I not only accept, there's videos of this, right? I meet him head to head on it. Like, this is what's up, this is what's up. And the amazing things that happened at that point. Now, it took me a year, maybe in 2 months after, no, it took me a while to do the show. Yeah, it took me a while. It might have been 2 years. Somewhere in there, I was like, I remember going, I don't know. Everything's changed now. Ayahuasca fixed my this and that. I saw entities, and I know they're there. I've spoken to all of them. I have this relationship with all these weird beings, but they're really just consciousnesses that we connect to. And then I find out we're in the illusion. So you're in a program, and then in the program, now you're stuck in an illusion inside the program. And I'm like, well, that's like being trapped in a robot within a video game or something. And they're like, yeah, it gets worse. You're about to build the robot and put yourself in it. I'm like, oh, man, what are we going to do? And they're like, first thing you need to do is get fresh water, storable food. And I'm like, what? Are you serious? Love yourself. Love yourself. No more cocaine, cigarettes. I'm like, well, I'm not that heavily into the cocaine and cigarette. I mean, cigarettes, yes. The joke was the cocaine and cigarettes because I was around it all the time. And then I did it for a little bit and then stopped, like just never did it again. So I make jokes, cocaine and cigarettes. I wasn't into alcohol at all. All right, so Aya showed me the wine and spirits, the cocaine and cigarettes, like what that brings, what that is. All right. I think I had PTSD from the DMT trip I had. If Chris wasn't there to hug me over and over and over again so I can make it to the ayahuasca experience, I think if I would have left like the next day, it would have damaged me forever because of what I saw. I was crying for a fucking week straight. Right? Like I don't even know how to explain that. But the Aya the next day did something to me. It started removing stuff. Like immediately. It was like, hey, take a look at this, man. Why are you so stressed? Why are you so distracted? Why are you so this? Why are you so that? And I seen that Aya held me by the top of my head, kind of like I was her kid, like just tapping me on the head, like, look, you can heal yourself. And I'm like, wait, what? And they pulled all this stuff out of my neck and my back. And I got up and I was like, wow, I'm not in any pain. Like my neck's stiff, like having a stiff neck, but there's no sharp stabbing pains. They're like, no, we're going to rewire you. And I'm like, wait, rewire me? And then I went under again. This is why I always tell people do multiple experiences because one isn't enough, because one might blow your mind out and you have to bring it back in the next one. That's why when you go off to the retreats, they do a whole bunch. And then they give you a little bit of a break, like one day. They tell you, come on, we'll eat some food today. Everything's good. And then you go back in the next day. Because seeing the equivalent of just knowing you're in the machine was enough for me. I was like, are you guys serious? Like I walked into this thing and I agreed to come here and do this. And they were like, yep. I'm like, well, I'm afraid of deer and sharks and spiders and people. Even though my Frank Castle persona is so big, they were like, we know you're a Care Bear. The real you is on the inside there. It's got to come out. And I'm like, well, how am I supposed to come out of this? It was like a mummy layered in, just wrapped up. And they started unwrapping it. And I started unwrapping it. And I made an agreement to unwrap and go all the way. I didn't know what that meant, but I think I do, honestly, in my heart knows what it means. And it's on one end, it's good, but it's the hardest path, which means it's rough. I want to say it's bad, but it's not bad. It's hard. It's rough. It's tough. None of this was easy. None of this is easy. Don't expect to drink ayahuasca and smoke DMT and think it's easy. When you're doing mushrooms, 5 grams and up, look, I'm a mushroom guy supporter. I love it. I think it's great. Go out, have fun, be safe in anything you do. But I've eaten 5 grams of mushrooms, and it gave me PTSD when I ate it. And I started having telepathy, and I could hear everyone. And it was horrible. I was so lonely and horrible for 8 hours. And I'm like, oh no, I don't want that. So when I smoked DMT and I drank ayahuasca, something different happened. Even though they're very similar, it broke me open, and just right when I would start losing it, like where the PTSD would start coming, because look what I'm looking at. Oh my God. Boom, mother. And I've had to work on this every single waking moment and probably every sleeping moment until I was riding on the backs of sharks as I was stepping to giant archonic spiders that were standing right there the whole time. And they're like, well, now go get them. This was before Toth. And I've no gnosis, guys, of any of that stuff. I've never read anything about the pyramids, and except your basic stuff you learn in school. No interest at all. No interest in any of this. And then all of a sudden, full blast in my face. No, you have the ability to do all this stuff. And meanwhile, I'm like, what about the music? What about this? And everyone falls off. I lost everything. I lost everyone. All of my... I am 100% new from when I was a year ago, and so on and so forth as we work our way back from 2014. So when people ask how long you've been doing this, this is lifetimes. This is lifetimes that I've removed. Fractals I've repaired. I went into my I'm trying not to create karma. I'm trying. It's very difficult not to, but you have to kind of become like almost like one of that character on Star Trek, Data, where you're just pulling in transmissional stuff. You have to react when you react, and then act when you're supposed to act, and then go back to just being the observer again. The observer doesn't mean stand around and observe all the time. Like, people they take things so mentally wrong and off all the time that it drives me nuts. I'm like, this is the impossible win. How am I supposed to do this? And they're like, you just do it. You just do it. We're here with you. My worst fear was dying alone. Then the next thing was sharks. They made sure I knew I was never alone. I see it's all day. It's all day. I live this now 100%. I can't look back and go, oh yeah. I just see that as a stepping stone from one life. Almost like I was outside walking this long staircase to the door, and then I could hear the party. I can see the light, and I could see it around the door, and then the door opens, and then I walk in. And now I'm not the guy that was standing in the rain, walking up the steps, going, come on, I want to eat, I want to get in the party, I want to see people, I want to. So now it's a complete different event than you just walking those monstrous steps. You're in. So it's a full change. All masks removed. Right? All truths have to be faced. Everything has to be looked at. It's not easy. It's not easy, man. I do the best I can. I know I'm Frankie Fearless. Hey, you're fearless. I'm like, yeah, I'm just like you, dude. And in just a couple of years, I lost all the fear. Right? I still get scared. But I'm not going to sit here and be afraid. There's a difference. And I want you guys to know the difference. You know, when you drink ayahuasca, you should be afraid. You should be very afraid. But you shouldn't be in fear. You should be like, yo, man, I don't know what's going to happen. But I'm going to submit and breathe. And there's Roxy, right on time. She always responds when the truth is just coming out. She's talking all episode. I thought you fell asleep, honey. I know. So, but with that, you should stand up and say, no, I want me back. I want me back. As I look through, I read these to myself and I go, I can't believe what I went through in 2 weeks. trying to explain my life every day is intense. That's why I just want you guys to jump on board and become the leaders, become what you need to become. Because this is a very strange place for me right now. I feel like the American Indian shaman in me comes out. These, the shamanistic characteristics, it's very odd being in the Bronx and having this. You know, I've become that guy. I don't know. I'm trying to find the balance in it. Ayahuasca is fantastic, but I haven't used her to fix all my problems. She taught me all this, and I feel now I've become like her, become the DMT, right? It's going to say Frank Castle became the DMT, the DMT, that's, I see the song is great, but becoming the mushroom, you're more connected. You have the same connections the shrooms do in your brain and your fibers everywhere. It's you, it's them. And I think we're becoming it. And I think that's a layer of shedding. And in there, you have to maintain a balance. So in a life that had no balance and nothing, it was just this, then that, then this, is now back to shooting out spiritually on the other end and going, yeah, it's all light and love, yay, to come back and go, don't forget you're 50% dark and you will get your ass kicked. So you watch yourself. And I'm like, all right. So we have to respect it. We have to push through these distractions, by the way. I'm so sorry that there's a royal wedding. That's, just some bullshit. I don't even like to talk about them. They are retarded in the traditional sense, in the dictionary term sense. That group of people are just completely crazier than the DMT. Remember to find your balance. Remember all the things we've learned up to this point, right? I see so many people drank ayahuasca last night. People are doing their thing. They're becoming their own shaman. I'm fully for that as long as you're responsible. It's not for everyone, yet everyone should do it. Yes, the universe rewards bravery, but if you have a bad heart, maybe a gram of mushrooms at a time is probably best for you. Maybe microdosing to get those layers out. Maybe heavy meditation and sitting in the sun. I don't want you, completely losing it. And I believe right now the attacks are high on us. There's been nothing but rain and chemtrail skies now for a week. And I checked and they said, no sun till Thursday. Thursday? But tomorrow's going to be 81 and rainy. 81 and rainy. So it's going to go from 60 to 80. And we're just going to keep the overcast. I see what this is turning into. They're turning it into that fish bowl where they could run electricity through it, right? With the 5G type atmosphere. They keep this overlay on us, and then they use their technology on us. Just letting you know that's how they do it. So I suggest microdosing is awesome. It looks like we're out of time. I love it. I think it's the best thing I've ever done for myself. Did I take any more? Yes, I did. The night of the meditation that was successful with Chris and Sheree Geo. When we activated the capstone, I was meditating on another level. And it was amazing. Guys, don't forget to check out IamWeAreFearless.com. Frank Castle Fearless on YouTube. And, Fearless TFR is the group. You must answer the question to get in. I got 13 people just there. So answer the question and come on in. And we're